So the next project that I have works with, since we had a request for Christmas something and 3D something, I went into the gallery to find some different pine branches that we have in the gallery. They call these pines. This looks like these look like sugar pine. This looks more like fir tree, and this kind of, I don't know what it's called, a pine tree punch, I believe. At least it looks similar to the one that I found online for punch. So I saw a project this week that was kind of fun, and it was making this wreath. Here, let me make it a little bigger. Now the demo that I saw had you punch out all these hundreds of little branches and glue each one and just keep gluing it. And I did do that just to see, what it might look like. But I got the idea that maybe I could do this a little bit more efficiently on my cutter. See if I could find the picture of the original one. There it is. This is the one that they did by hand. And it looks pretty nice. But I thought, I'm just going to try to see what I can do with my cutter. And this is the one that I ended up with. You can see a little ring in here. And so what I decided, instead of having to work with single little branches and glue each one on all by itself, that I would take just one of these little branches. Let's see if I have one here that's not welded. Maybe on this page. Here's. Oh, there they are. See, I made a whole bunch of single ones in case I needed to fill in. But what I did here was I wrapped them around a circle and welded them together, and then I cut two of these so that I could lay them over each other at a different angle. So let's say I have this one and I just rotate it a little bit. So I was able to glue around the rim and make a pretty thick looking thing, but then I still had the rim showing. So I made another ring with no rim that I could layer over the top of it, and I think I ultimately resized it a little so that I could get, and I'll stack these so I could get some of the edges laying over the ring here, so it wouldn't be showing. But then I found out I didn't really have much of the inside covered, so I reversed these branches so that they were pointing in. And again, I welded these together. I did the same thing. This one here, I just barely overlapped the leaves and then welded them, so they're all one unit. Much easier to work with than gluing each of those hundreds of little branches together. So then I did a couple of these, and I cut them out. Let's send that to the top here, so that if I rotated them a little bit, I could fill in this whole design and give some nice loose look to the center, as well as keeping it nice and fluffy on the outside. So I'll show you how I wrapped these. and I'll get the notes, view notes, because I don't remember all the settings, so I kind of write them down. I started with a branch a little bigger than 1.5 inches, and I had it set up so that the top of the branch is at the top. And then I added a circle. So we go to Basic Shapes and add a circle. And what I'll do is kind of zoom in on this a little. I made the circle 2.5 inches. So to do that, I just go to the width or height with the gold lock icon on and type in 2.5 and press enter. So now I have my circle. I'll change to the green matte so that we can see what's happening. And I need to wrap this first, but I'm also going to add a shadow to this to make a frame. Click on the fourth icon from the right on the bottom, and you can make the frame as big or as small as you want. I think my frame was maybe minus 0.2 inches. Yeah, and accept. Now I'm not going to join it. In fact, I'm going to hide this center one that I just made. I'll send it to its own layer and hide it so it doesn't interfere with the wrap. Somebody else asked, how do we wrap another item on the forum today? So the same procedure that I'm doing now will apply to that other question that was posted, but I'll click on this to select it, hold the control key and drag over the circle until my cursor changes to triangle, circle, and square. Once it does, I release my mouse and the control key, and I'm going to duplicate this. It says that I used 11, and I'm going to change the vertical alignment so that the edges of the leaves just barely stay over the my thing here. And I'm going to change the spacing down to, I don't really need any spacing yet, and I'm going to change this to increase. And I have some spacing here. Let me take that down to 0. I'm going to start again since I had spacing on there, and we'll so you see the vertical alignment allows you to space them in a little different manner. And the offset allows you to set where the spacing starts. I don't know why these aren't spacing closer together like they're supposed to. What I'm aiming for right now is to set the spacing so that the spacing between the start and end are about the same, and then I'll accept it. Now what I can do, since it didn't want to give me a lot more, is that I can select all of these and hold Control Shift and click to make another set, and rotate them by clicking on them, changing the handles to the rounded corners, holding the Control key, and just dragging in 15-degree increments. And that can give me more. But what I want to do is make it so that I'll release the Control key to try to make it more even spaced. And my goal is that they should not be totally overlapping, and I might even just do this in 2 segments, because if I weld all this, then I don't have the free movement to bend these up. So I think what I'll do is undo this last, and what I'll do here is get my ring here with this selected and the shift selected, and join these so that I have now a frame. And I will select all of these and weld so that I have one ring with all of these leaves, and I don't have to, or branches, I don't have to handle individual branches. Now I can Control and Shift and click, and I can just move this second one. I can layer these and glue the ring while these can all stay loose. And you can make as many of these layers as you would like to have fluffiness for your project. Now I did the same thing without the frame, and just wrapped them enough so that they would be barely touching, and that's how I created these. So if I take one of these, Control, Shift, and click, we can do the same kind of thing with this. I'll start with it at the top, flipping it, and I'll move these out of the way. Now I have to have something to wrap it to, so we'll grab the circle. And I can make the circle whatever size I want. Let's see what I probably, maybe try it with a 3-inch circle and see if that makes any difference in how it wraps. So I hold a Control, drag till my cursor changes, and now I can increase the number. I'm not sure why this isn't working today. And just accept. And again, this time I'm not going to, well, I'll select all of these and then deselect the circle by holding the Shift and clicking the circle. And Control, Shift, click, and then I can change that around. Now if they're too close, then I wouldn't want to weld it. But I do have the freedom to move things around before I weld. And again, I just want them barely overlapping. So when I get them the way I want them, then I can click the weld button and they'll weld all as one piece. Then I can resize them if I want them to be a little smaller. Depends on what I want to, the look that I want. because I can have them layered over here. So you can do lots and lots of layers, different sizes, and come up with some really interesting projects. So this was the wreath project. I'll show you the photo again. So when I'll take it back to contrast so you can see the colors here. So this turned out to be a really cute project, and you could do it any way you want. I just wanted to show you that you don't have to do all of these individually. The original one said to start with one leaf and let it face to the left, and then do the next one and face it to the right, and the next one face it up, so they were in clumps of 3 by the time you were assembling. So this one would be, you know, if you wanted to do that, you could just do individual ones. You're going to wrap it around your little frame by doing one to the left and going around, doing one a little bit lower to the right, and then doing the next one going straight up, and you end up with a nice fluffy batch if you want to glue one at a time to the frame.